Hello, I'm making this film to give a voice to the many war veterans that spoke the truth but were simply ignored by a compliant media that worships the official line as if it's a fanatical religion. During this D-Day 70th anniversary regimental extravaganza, please spare a thought for those who try to reveal the truth behind the ongoing propaganda. The big problem with speaking the truth about World War II is being branded a Nazi or some other nasty word ending in "ist". It is my belief such words were devised to stifle open debate and truth. I'm totally against all forms of dictatorship in whatever shape or form they appear, but that fact is usually subject to selective hearing by an accuser. I'm very much a pacifist against all forms of aggression, and one innocent victim of totalitarianism is one victim too many. The big problem is World War II propaganda is still believed today and overshadows the truth. The fact Britain seemed to have an obvious euthanasia policy during the war has been conveniently lost in the mists of time. I guess they won't be mentioning that on the 70th anniversary of D-Day. The fact disabled World War II veterans were tortured, yes tortured, after the war to dissuade them from claiming their rightful entitlements has also been airbrushed from history. Those facts are usually met with the same ignorant smugness that is synonymous with those that worship the mainstream media. What happened during World War II continues to have a major impact on how we live today, but few people realise it. World War I and World War II war veterans that spoke the truth were very much in the minority, and in a similar situation to those of us today that don't believe the official lies that are constantly pumped out by the mainstream. No doubt, during this 70th anniversary of D-Day, the mainstream media will continue to promote the same regimental exhibitionist drivel and state the same mantra. The war justification industry will also quote the usual poetic drivel: "They gave their today so we can have our tomorrow," another such tosh. What won't be said is the war was fought for and on behalf of banks, the same banks that financed communism. They couldn't allow Germany to get away with printing its own debt-free currency, hence reason Germany had to be totally destroyed. The German invasion of Poland was a good excuse to get Britain involved, even though it was nothing to do with this country, and we were under no threat whatsoever. The Soviet Union invaded Poland shortly after. So why on earth didn't Britain declare war on the Soviet Union? Follow the trail of financiers and that will give you the answer. That fact is conveniently forgotten about. Another inconvenient truth is the Soviet Union's dictator Stalin was responsible for the genocide of around 60 million people. Another fact the establishment keeps eerily quiet about. Real history is very different to the Hollywood fairy tale version that is continuously spoon-fed to the masses. People are so brainwashed by it they seem to prefer fiction to facts. I had to publish my father's book out of my own savings as it was near impossible to get it published. Most publishers were obsessed with deleting the truth and adding schoolboy jingoism than revealing the facts. My father was in the British frontline intelligence and was amongst the first assault wave to hit Gold Beach, Jig section on D-Day. When they eventually got off the beach and started to advance inland, everyone was in for a shock. Contrary to popular belief, French civilians made it known to the frontline troops they didn't want to be liberated and didn't want the Allies in their country. That wasn't an isolated few, but the majority. Frontline troops were met with an ice-cold reception and had to fight against French snipers. Most French militia fought a rearguard action to hold the Allies up to enable German units to regroup. Whenever my dad's unit entered French towns and villages, they were met with the same ice-cold reception and were often told to go home. French shops were also stacked almost to the brim with goods and food. There didn't seem to be any shortages whatsoever. Again, I'm not praising Germany's National Socialism, neither am I justifying the German occupation in France. I'm simply stating a fact that's difficult or not impossible to find in official history books. Some people believed the reason the French were hostile to the Allies was because they feared the repercussions if the Allies were driven back. That is complete and utter nonsense. Photographs of French women waving flags and greeting and kissing British troops, I believe, look like fakes. Probably photographed before D-Day. Where did the women get the flags from? Not only do the military vehicles look too clean, but the troops also look well turned out and not as if they'd just been on the battlefield. Most pictures of happy French people kissing and hugging Allied troops were taken well behind the front lines. Sadly, the propaganda of that time is still believed to this day. Before my father died, he said, "What did my friends die for? If we had known how this country was going to turn out, we would have thrown our weapons down and given up." My dad said that whilst being means tested to pay for nursing care. It's a demoralising and disgusting way to treat the elderly, especially those that fought for this country. Dad fully paid his taxes and national insurance throughout his working life and was led to believe it covered everyone from cradle to grave. Like me, he was horrified by the way the government is now openly robbing the elderly to make private companies a fortune. It's nothing more than fraud. During the 70th anniversary of D-Day, the mass media's war justification industry's propaganda machine will be going full pelt. During this time, all I ask is for you to spare a thought for the war veterans, such as my father, that spoke the truth and were treated in much the same way as the truth movements are treated today. Before my father died, I promised him I would carry on revealing the facts about World War II. In order to look forward, it is essential to keep an eye on the past. History keeps repeating itself. Understanding the real truth surrounding World War II gives us a far clearer picture of what is actually going on today. For further details, please see my website www.warveteran.co.uk. Incidentally, that name will soon be changing because people incorrectly keep thinking that I'm a war veteran and I'm not. It was my father that was a war veteran. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.